While we're talking about Victoria, you might remember last year the Allen government decided they were going to beef up, quote unquote, their anti-vilification laws. Now, what they actually are going to do is water down their anti-vilification laws. By that, I mean not that they make it harder for you to be vilified. They make it much easier for you to say that you have been vilified, because the rules as they are at the moment is that if you are to prove that hatred has been incited, that you actually need concrete proof. If you are saying this person has incited hatred against a certain group, you actually have to bring the proof that they have done that. The new laws that the Allen government want to pass get rid of all of that. There's no burden of proof whatsoever. It is simply that you have incited hatred, serious contempt, revulsion, or serious ridicule of a protected group. And of course, the protected group used to be racial, religious. Now they include gender identity, they include transgender people, they include gay people, on and on it goes. The laws, if they get their way, would be expanded significantly to basically everyone, and no proof required to show that you have actually incited any hatred whatsoever. So thank heavens the opposition in Victoria has now said that they will oppose these laws. But never mind, this is how Jacinta Allen says it will actually go. We're just looking after everybody.
But let's be clear, this is about sending a very clear message that in Victoria you can be who you are, you can love who you love, you can pray to who you wish to pray to, and that we will make hate against you a crime.
We will make hate against you a crime, because, of course, it is the most important thing for Victoria to be doing right now, to say, oh, my God, there might be a gay person down there who's been allowed to marry for the last 8 years who could be offended by some form of hate, so we've got to change the laws. Now, I'm glad at least that the opposition hasn't taken the bait here, that they have said, yes, we are going to oppose it, because, of course, the concern would have been, and the reason that they've tried to do this, is we have an anti-Semitism problem at the moment, and you use that as the vanguard to push through these laws that are far more expansive than just anti-Semitism. It includes everything you could possibly find in the grab bag. It makes the burden of proof much lower than it ever was. So you get all that through and hope no one notices what you've done. The opposition have said, no, we're not actually going to let you do that, and good on them.
Yeah, but they don't have the numbers, so we're thankful for the opposition, but it's going to get up.
Well, it depends on the prospects.
Can I just point out, though, the Victorian Premier there is a complete liar when she says in Victoria you can love who you want to love, marry who you want to marry, pray to who you want to pray to. You can't. They made a law that says if you pray for a gay person to become straight, or if you pray for a gender-confused person to, come to their senses, if you like, and be comfortable with their own gender, then you can be prosecuted. So for her to say that in Victoria you can pray to who you want to pray to, well, I guess you can pray to who you want to pray to, but the Victorian government will censor the prayers as you pray them to make sure they are government compliant.
She didn't say you can pray about whatever you want to pray
exactly
about.
The point. And that's one of the things that governments are doing. They've stopped talking, if you listen to them, about religious freedom. They now talk about the freedom to practice your religion, which is very different. They have redefined religion to something that happens for 60 minutes on a Sunday morning in a mosque or in a synagogue or in a temple. But once you're outside of that, now the government controls what you say, what you think, and even the way that you pray. So always be on guard when the government talk about protecting people's rights to practice religion. That's very different to having religious freedom to say what you believe and to think the thoughts that you want to think. Speaking of which, the transgender CEO of Victoria, son Vivian, said about these new laws that he hopes they will, quote, make people consider how their words land and how ideas can cause harm. And this is the problem with these hate speech laws. Once you start dictating what people can and can't say, you're effectively dictating what they can and can't think. And so this is where religious freedom goes completely to the toilet, because now you're being legislated as to what is permissible to think about the big issues of life and what is not permissible. And so these laws are quite pernicious. They're not designed to protect religious freedom. They are designed to give the government more control over which narratives will be permitted. And one final thing, when you talk about, we're going to outlaw hatred, And as you said, these laws are over whether something is likely to cause hatred, not whether, in fact, it actually causes objective harm. Do you remember the CEO of the Essendon Football Club, Andrew Thorburn, who was sacked as the CEO because they found out he was going to a church that happened to believe two things that Christians have believed for 2,000 years: abortion is wrong and marriage is between a man and a woman. And the Premier at the time, Daniel Andrews, described those beliefs as, quote, a kind of intolerance that is hateful and wrong. So according to Dan Andrews, hate speech is saying abortion is wrong and marriage is between a man and a woman. That's why these laws make no sense. No one should support them.